All right. And good day and happy summer. And hello, my friends. And welcome to today's live with your temporary guide, your temporary teacher, your temporary host, but your eternal brother. Welcome to today's live with Oliver Blue Jr. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited I'm so excited to have this opportunity to and have the resources to be able to, you know, create such a broadcast. Uh, at the same time, I'm happy and grateful for the resources that have been placed in my hand, and I feel a great responsibility to utilize them for the edification, exaltation, and the building up of all humanity. And I'm just delighted to be here, and I hope you are. And whether you're listening to the live or whether you're listening to the replay, use your comment field or chat field because we're on multiple platforms here between YouTube and Facebook. But hey, just let me know that you're there, and just say, hey, I'm here and I'm listening. And hey, if I don't see you in the live, if I see you in the replay, I'll come back and shout at you and give you some love. All right. So I'll put my comment field up. So, hey, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be listening in or watching. This is my way of showing up in the world as I guess you could call me a teacher, but it is my expression. It is one of the expressions that I have, and one way that I show up is through these types of live broadcasts. And it's my way of sharing the love. It's my way of helping humanity to wake up. I call these moments, sometimes I call these moments, sharing advanced spirituality, but it's really nothing advanced about what I say or anyone say. The truth is, and then there is nothing else. So it's my way of not only expressing my love for truth, but it's my way of sharing and extending that truth, that it may be helpful, that it may be beneficial, because I'm only here to be helpful. This is not a political message. This is not a religious message. But this is a form of sharing and extending the love that I have recognized in my own heart, in my own mind, and the responsibility to extend that love, right? All of us are here as a result of God's love, or love's creation being extended. And as a result of love's creation being extended, we are having this individual experience called humanity, right? We are having this individual experience where we appear to be individualized or individuated as these human species in form, in time, for the purpose of expressing the true nature and the true essence of who we are. That's the way I see it. That's the way I understand life to be. That I am here to express and to extend my true nature, the truth that I am. And after being on the planet 66 years, and after walking this walk, and being in on a journey of self-discovery, I have come to the conclusion that who I am is not what I thought I made myself to be, but who I truly am in essence, who I am, that I am, is not what necessarily my parents gave me through a birth, but who I am in truth is an extension of the divine. I'm an extension of that which is eternal. I'm an extension of that which is love. I'm an extension of that which is reality. And as an extension of reality, my purpose is ingrained. All of our purposes is ingrained in our creation. And that purpose is to express the nature or the essence of who we are. And I have come to the understanding is that we are as we were created, and we all were created in, by, and through love. And so I'm here this morning. I am here this morning only to express the love that I share with all humanity. Now, I know on the surface, there are so many voices, there are so many elephants, there's so much diversity, there's so much division, there's so much separation, there is so much hurt, there is so much anger, there is so much abundance, there's so much lack, there's all of this hodgepodge of emotions and sensations and feelings and situations and circumstances and conditions, not only on your personal level, not only on the personal level, but on the family level, on the community level, on the state level, on the national level, on the country level, and on the global level. 2025 has presented itself as a season of turmoil, one might say. And so in the midst of all of that, I come this morning. I come in peace. I come to share the good news, right? Because all of this year, I made a promise and a commitment to stay on the subject of identity, because I believe that is the missing part of our present day that has created all the chaos, all the uncertainty, all the fear, and all the anxiety that this world has been experiencing. And so my commitment to you was that I will always, every time I hit the button, I will always stay on the subject in 2025 that relates to our identity. And I phrase it as A Course in Miracles phrases it, even as the Bible phrases it, even as many spiritual and psychological references phrase it, that you are, I am, all humanity is the perfect creation of love. The perfect creation of love. This is my mantra this year. This is my theme this year. This is my focus this year. This has been where I've placed all of my energy, all of my studies, all of my share time on this subject. Why? Why do I focus on this idea that we are this perfect creation of love in a world of chaos, and it appears to be a world of chaos or a world on fire. How could we be perfect creations if we're creating these kinds of results? How could it be, Oliver? Well, I'm glad you asked. But we are. And to most of us, that message is not what we're hearing. To most of us, is that message is not what we have heard. To most of us, the idea of being perfect, is fearful to us. It is foreign to us. But I'm not talking about perfect or perfection as we have been taught in our schools, we have been mentored, or as we have been conditioned. I'm not talking about perfection that has to do with performance, or perfection that has to do with outward show. I'm not talking about perfection that has to do with achievement. When I'm mentioning the word perfection, I'm talking about that which is permanent, that which is complete, that which is whole, that which is finished. The Bible refers to it as Christ. A Course in Miracles refers to it as oneness. Other spiritual modalities, other ancient religions have their own reference to this state of perfection. But it doesn't matter what we call it, because anytime we use a word, we put a limitation on it. We put words are twice removed from the truth. So there is no one word that can describe. Even God, or even the word love, it doesn't even give its full definition of what I am communicating here, what I am bringing into your awareness, what I am bringing into your recognition. Because who we are is beyond what words can describe. It's beyond what words can add value to. Right? I think if anything, the closest to a description of our identity, I guess we could take it from Scripture when Moses asked God, "Who do I say sent me?" When they asked me, "Who are you, Moses, to come to tell us about your God?" And God said, "Hey, just say to them that I am. I am that I am sent you." And so I think those are probably the two most anointed descriptions of who we are. I am that I am. And so, yes, so I continue along these lines of talking about the perfect creation of God. And when I talk about perfect creation, I'm talking about us coming to know our I am self. The self that we share with God, the self that we share with one another. That in reality, there is only one self. In reality, there is not 8 billion people. There are not 8 billion individual cells, but there's only the one self. There's only the one life. There's only the one love. And we all share that one I am self. That's what perfect creation is. It's a recognition of our oneness, that there is only the one, and that we are a part of that. When we talk about perfect creation, I'm talking about that which is divine. I'm not talking about that which is earthly, but that which is divine, that divine being, a recognition of our being, and that there is but one being, and that we all share that one being. There's not a multiplicity of beings, but it's only the one being, and we are that. I am that. You are that. All humanity is a part of that shared being. When I talk about perfect creation, I'm talking about that which is already whole, that which is already complete. Like Jesus said, there's not one thing that you or I or anyone could add to their statue, add to your essence. The earthly experiences that we have, the titles that we take on, the roles that we play, all that we attribute to our accomplishment. None of these things really add to our value. None of these things really make us any different or better or less or superior or inferior to anyone or anything. What we do in our human journey, what we do with our lives, what we achieve, none of that adds to our statue. Because in creation, we have been given all and in all. We have been given everything. There is nothing missing and there is nothing broken in your life. You may be having an experience of lack, of fear, of doubt, of anxiety. You may be having an experience of low self-esteem or even high self-esteem. You may be having an experience of not having the things that you think you need or the things that you want. You may be having an experience of where you got so much that it'll take you 20 lifetimes and you still couldn't expend all of it on yourself. You may be at the top. You may be what you think at the bottom or even the middle. Regardless of where you think you are, regardless of what your human experience has been, regardless of what your journey, regardless of your age, your race, your nationality, your gender, your denomination, your choice of political affiliation, your choice of who's your favorite team, your favorite sports. It doesn't matter what you like or what you dislike. It doesn't matter what part of the globe that you live on. None of those things add to your statue. None of those things add to your I am self. In other words, what I'm trying to say here is that in reality, right, in the permanence of things, in this temporary experience that we're having called life, yeah, there's all kinds of duality. There's all kinds of levels and all kinds of experiences that is a result of people's choices. But at the end of that day, at the end of that experience, reality has not changed. Love has not changed. Who we are has not changed. We remain who we were created. And what is the essence of our creation? That has not changed. Nothing we do in this earthly life, whether you're the king or you're the pompous, whether you're in the White House or the crack house, whether you're in either of the 7 continents and you're choosing to have some religious practice or some political affiliation or some social affiliation, all of that stuff, nothing that we do in this life, nothing, absolutely nothing changes who we are. So you can kind of say like this life is like a dream, row your boat gently down this stream, merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. But it's basically what it's saying is life is just a temporary experience. It has a beginning and it has an end. It's temporary. Poof, one day and it's gone. But what is left? If you stripped all of your life experiences, if you basically like unclothe yourself of every sensation, every activity, every thought, every decision, every experience, if you just stripped all of that away from your memory bank, what is left? What is at the core of your nakedness? Your perfect creation. And that's what I'm trying to get to. That so much emphasis is placed on our human experience. And there's nothing permanent here in life. The only thing that is permanent in life is your creation. The only thing that is permanent in life is your divine self. The only thing that is permanent is your heavenly self. That which you were before the human experience, that which you will be after the human experience. Your divine, timeless self. Your I am that I am self. That is the only thing that is permanent in this world. And what I'm here to help is for us to all get in touch with that, because at the nature of that is love. At the nature of that, at the essence of that is love, the perfect creation of love, which is our true identity. And I believe, and I've said it from the beginning of this year, that there is no solution to what we appear to think that are major problems. There are no solutions to the problems that we have created. But there is a reality. There is a recognition. There is an awareness. There is a reminder that when we awaken to our true self, our true I am divine self that we all share, that all the seeming problems that we had will go away. All of the hatred, all of the vitriol, all of the thoughts of supremacy and inferiority, and all of the ideas that we hold that has their basis in separation and division, that has their basis in the idea of that we're different. When we discover who we are as the perfect creation of love. And this love is the one shared being, the I am that I am self that we are. And all the seeming evils of our day, all the lovelessness of our day will dissolve in an instant, in a twinkling of an eye. So where's the real problem? The real problem is in the mind of humanity, where we are holding on to ideas. We're holding on to false ideas that have their basis in separation, that is resulting in what is being manifested in our world. So the mind has to be healed. The mind needs to be renewed, as the scriptures say. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. By the renewing of the mind, by the remembering, by the recognition of who we are. And so indeed it is true. You are the perfect creation of love. All humanity. And there is no exception. If there was an exception, then it wouldn't be love. It wouldn't be love. And so I stand here today when there are so many voices, so many ideas, so many perspectives that are being communicated in this communication age that we're in. We're being bombarded with voices and ideas and thoughts. And I come in the midst of that with my voice. And my voice said, "You are the perfect creation of love." You know, Paul made a statement about that many voices over in First Corinthians. And first, for you Bible scholars, you know, I use the Bible. I use many different resources, right, to help point us to and to support the truth that is true always. And so here in First Corinthians chapter 14, verse 11, it is written here on verse 11, it says, "Therefore," in verse 10, it says, "There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world." And this was Paul speaking 2,000 years ago. And that has not changed. In fact, the voices have only multiplied. You have, I have, all of us have access to so much information, so many media resources, so many ways that we can hear voices, spoken voices, written voices. Even the way that people live their lives in front of us, that's a voice. They're teaching, they're communicating something. They're communicating what they believe. We all are communicating what we believe. We're all teaching what we believe. Our life is a reflection of that. Some believe that humanity is expendable, that humanity, some based on their race or their nationality or their gender or their belief or how they choose to love and who they choose to love. Some believe that has no value and it needs to be extinct. It needs to be done away with. And so they see that voice, that expression as to be done away with, to kill it, to shoot it, to exterminate it. That's the idea that they're holding in their mind. There's others that believe that all humanity is valuable and is to be loved. And so they communicate with their life. They're all creatures, all creation is created equal and has the right to pursue happiness and fulfillment. And that we all can eat from the same table in peace. Some people hold that idea and they live their life that way. And so here, as it was 2,000 years ago, as it is here in 2025, it says, "There is, I know not." Paul says, "There are, and it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world, and none of them are without meaning. None of them are without significance." Every human expression is a voice, and none of it is without meaning. None of it is without significance. Why? Because each voice, each individual is expressing what's in their heart. They're expressing what they believe. Your life is a reflection. The results of your life is a reflection of what you believe in your heart. Because eventually what is in the heart, out of the abundance of the heart, is what you're going to express in your life. And it's what we have expressed in our lives. And so when we see the abundance of the expression of separation and division, when we see the abundance of suppression and oppression, when we see the rejection of diversity and inclusion, people are just expressing what is in their heart. On the other hand, when we see a life that expresses oneness and shared interests, a life that communicates perfect creation that we all want, we're all one and the same, that there's only one being, we share that one being, that all life is valuable, then they're expressing what's in their heart. Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart, he said, the mouth will speak, your life will speak, your actions will speak, your perception will speak, your perspective will speak. What is valuable to you will speak. It will be communicated. So all of us, our lives is teaching and communicating what we believe. And if we believe that all humanity is created equal, and all humanity has been endowed with that equality, then your life will communicate that. But if you believe in separation, then we know what that looks like as well. We know what it looks like. Many voices have gone out into the world. He said, there's so many voices out here, and all of them have meaning. What is the meaning? They're all teaching us what's in the heart. And you've heard me say here many times that there's only two emotions. There's only two energies. There's only there's only love, or there's only fear. And that in every moment we're either coming from a place of love, or we're coming from a place of fear, and that fear represents separation. And so we're either teaching love or we're teaching fear in every moment. But as all of the traditional religions teaches, most all of the psychology teaches, is that in love there is no separation. There is no separation. There's only oneness. There's only equality. There's only beauty. There's only extension. Love extends. It extends its very nature. Just like we are having this human experience, because love extended itself. And here we are in form, with the purpose of extending the essence of who we are, which is love. But when we forget who we are, and we substitute who we are by something that we made, when we substitute the perfect creation that we are by something that we made, and remember, there are no opposites in love. So it's almost like we fall in a trance or a dream, and we dream of ourselves being something else. We dream of ourselves being apart from love, and it's absolutely impossible. But in the dream, it's all kind of diabolical experiences that one have. All kinds of emotions, all kinds of sensations, all kinds of tragedy, and all kinds of destruction that one temporarily experienced, because they have what? Abdicated. They have made of their reality a substitute. And thus we have a world as we see it here in 2025. Where instead of we're all carrying the idea that there's one table and we all can eat from the same table in peace, in abundance, in joy. We are still perpetuating the idea of separation, of inferiority and superiority. And thus you have the mess that we see happening here in 2025. So many voices that have gone out in the world. And so, I got too much to say here this morning. I'm about to explode, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep my composure. I'm going to keep my composure because I only want to be helpful, right? There's enough out here. There's enough voices out here that are pulling us away and causing confusion about who we are and the meaning of life. There's enough confusion out here. I don't want to add to that, but I'm here to bring clarity. I'm here to bring certainty. I'm here to bring calm and peace back into the human experience. And that can only happen as we accept and embrace the reality of who we are. We have an identity problem. I know that is at the root of all of the chaos. We have an identity problem. We don't know who we are. We don't know I am self. We don't know who our brother is. We don't know who our creator is. Yes, we say we have one. Yes, we say we know one. But we have created this God, I guess we call God, in our own image, in our own likeness, not in the image and likeness of love, but in the image and likeness of this belief in separation that we have been convinced is who we are. So there's an identity crisis throughout the whole entire world. That's why you see the division and the killing and the destruction, to where some nations are no more than rubbles now. And if any nation remain on the path of separation and division and oppression, your nation will end up in rubbles, and all you'll have to rule is rubble. Because that's what this ego mind, ego thought system is trying to convince you of. That there's an enemy out there, and you need to isolate the enemy because the enemy is a threat, and you need to kill the enemy. And in so doing, you're going to have peace. Well, that has been the strategy of the ego mindset, of the belief in separation for thousands and thousands of years, and it has only brought about the same result. It has only brought about the same result. But in our human ingenuity, there's this idea that we have a better way, that there is a better way. There is an untapped way, or there was a way in the past that was good. And if we just follow that path, we follow that idea, we're going to have peace, we're going to have prosperity, and the enemy will be destroyed. And the only thing that is at the end of that idea is our own destruction, our own disappointment, our own lack of peace, our own lack of happiness. Many men, many women, many nations, many religions have tried it over and over and over again. Look out down through the annal of history, and what you see is a bloody mess, a bloody trail of destruction. Love is the only thing that will save us. Love is the only thing that will bring us into an experience that we so long for, that is ours. And you might be saying, but I've heard that before. Love doesn't work. No, love does not work. Love does not oppose. Love does not fret. Love does not fight. Love is. It is the very thing that is waiting for us to lay down our weapons, to lay down our own ideas about life, to lay down our own false identity about who we are. Love is what is waiting. In fact, all of this is happening on the screen of love. All of what we have written in history, all of this was not even possible without love. And love is waiting for us to run our course with this false idea of a false self, of a separated self, of an individual self, of a divided self, of a self that is only limited to the human experience, to only limited to humanity's limitation, the limitations of the mind. That only knows itself in time, in space. Love is still waiting. You know, when they asked Jesus, when the religious folks and the politicians asked Jesus in the discourse, as it is written, when they asked him, uh, should we pay taxes to the government? Should we pay taxes to Caesar? Should we pay taxes? Should we honor the government? Should we honor authority? Should we obey man? You know, they was really asking a rhetorical question. They was trying to trick. They called themselves trying to trick the master. And I love his answer. Because I'm not saying here that we should not obey the authorities that are in the earth. That's not what I'm saying. But Jesus said in that moment, he said, look at the coin that you have. He said, what is the inscription on that coin? And they know it's a Caesar, which represented the government of their day. And Jesus said what? He said, render or give Caesar what is Caesar's. What is Caesar demanding of you? He said, give it to Caesar. Because the only thing that Caesar could demand of you is that which was man-made. That which was made out of an idea of separation. Which was constructed as a way of controlling and of dividing and separating, because it wasn't built on love. It was built on the idea of separation, and most governments are built on the idea of separation. They're not built on the idea of love. And so he said, render to Caesar what is Caesar's. He deserved that. He's earned it. That's what he has put together. That's his reward system. Give it to him. But all that represented that which is temporal, that which is temporary, that which is losing its power, that is losing its value, that which is not real. But he says, on the other hand, Render to love or render to God what is God's. So on the one hand, there's the unreality of what we made, the false self, the false structure, the false systems that are not built on the foundation of love. And on the other hand, Jesus was referring to reality, that which is timeless, formless, and eternal, that which is who we really are. I am self, the reality of our oneness, the reality of our creation, the reality that we are love. He said, render your love to love. Yes. In other words, he was saying, be committed to your reality. Be committed to who you are. Embrace the fact that you are the perfect creation of love. Render love to love. I am that. I am. He said, but because you're here in this temporary experience called humanity, and you have built systems and governments and whatever, he said, well, hey, look, render to them and that's temporal. He said, render to the temporal the temporal. Don't resist. And so that's the same message today. If you're feeling conflicted about what may be happening in your world, in your country, in your nation, in your state, in your city, in your county, and if you feel like you are conflicted about it, he's just showing us here the attitude that we should have. Render to Caesar what is Caesar. Render to God what is God. And what he's saying is, at the end of the day, let's see what stands. Let's see what stands. Will it be what we made, or will it be what God created? Look at all you have to do is look at the human journey of birth and death. Your parents gave you the body and the body mind, and it has a birthday, but unfortunately it has a death date. It has a beginning and it has an end, and that's what our parents gave us in the natural, and that's how we get to have the individual human experience, and that's good. But it's not permanent. It's temporary. But on the other hand, God gave you life. God gave you eternity. God gave you reality that is eternal, that is everlasting, that is infinite. And what God gave you in creation, it is what you were before you had the human experience, and it is who you are during your human experience, and it is what you will be after the human experience. And so what we're trying to get our listeners to understand is that, hey, while you're having the human experience, the best life you can live is the expression of the life that God gave you, which is love. So the purpose of life is love. And that's why Jesus said, you are the light of the world. The world needs light because the world believes that it is this temporary made experience called humanity. But what he's saying is that humanity and divinity becomes one when you wake up to the truth of who you are. That your divinity is now. It can't be any other way. And he says, so surrender. Surrender unto God what is God. Surrender unto love what is love. And surrender unto what we made. Only to know that your allegiance is to that which is what? that which is reality, that which is eternal, that which is divine, that which is everlasting, and it's not to the temporary. So where we see a nation or a world or a country or a state or a community or a family or an individual that is committed to the temporary, to all that it can gather, all that can consume, all that it can take, then what we see is a society or an individual or a life or a country or a world or a nation that is in turmoil, that is suffering needlessly, that is lost in the dream of separation. I hope this is helpful. In fact, I know it's helpful. If we're going to ever extricate ourselves from our own self-destruction, if we're going to extricate ourselves from our own made-up hatred and division and separation, if we're going to ever extricate ourselves from our own lack of peace, we're going to have to remember, we're going to have to recognize, we're going to have to, like the Course in Miracles says, enlightenment is but a recognition. And to do so, we're going to have to choose once again, because we have chose profanely, we have chose wrongly. And we can choose again. and what causes us to choose again, or what is required for us to choose again, is to let go of the idea of separation, to forgive, to give up the idea of the belief in separation, of the belief in inequality, of the belief in superiority and inferiority. We have to let that go and embrace the reality that there is but the one I am, and we are all a part of that it is the one shared being that we all share, that love hasn't forgotten anyone. Yeah. It will only get darker if we continue to hold on to the idea of separation. The only one thing we all need to be healed from is the belief in separation. And listen to what Jesus said when he was asked the question, what's the greatest law? What is the greatest idea? What is the highest? What is the most, what is the supreme awareness? What is the supreme understanding? And listen to his response. He said to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength, with all your soul, to love, to love reality is what he was saying, to love creation, to love the truth, to love that which is permanent, to love that which is eternal, to love that which is infinite, to love that which is. He said that is the supreme law. That is the only law you need to be aware of. And then he said the second one is just as important or just like the first. He said then to love your neighbor. He said it's just as supreme as the first. He said to love your neighbor. That means love all humanity. He didn't say love black or white or brown or red or green or male or female or Jew or Greek or American or Russian or German or Republican or Democrat, or he said love your neighbor. See, we made up all of those differences. We did that. We categorized people. We did that. Yeah, we did that. When he simply said, love your neighbor, love humanity. Love them. And he didn't just say love them. He said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So what is the prerequisite to loving your neighbor? It's loving yourself. See, when we don't love ourselves, we gravitate to the idea of separation. We look at ourselves and say, there is a difference in all of us, and let's make the difference. So that's when we get way off course. He said, but love your neighbor as you love yourself. That means that self-love is at the root of our peace. It's at the root of our prosperity. It is at the root of our perfect creation, loving oneself. But you cannot love the self that you made. You can only love the self that God extended, which is his very own self. You can only love the self that God created. And God can only create like himself. Love can only create like himself. So you have to embrace the fact that you are love. You are whole. You are complete. Missing nothing. You are not this body. You're not your nationality. You're not your social security. You are not your social security number. You are not all the labels that you have been labeled with since you was first born. You are not any of those things. Paul puts it this way in scripture. He says, in Christ, there is no Jew nor Greek, no bond nor free. There is no black nor white, no male nor female. There is no Russian or American or German. There is no Indian. There is no, all these diversities, all these many voices. He said, there is none of that. But we're all one in Christ. We're all one in love. And until we embrace that reality, we will continue to suffer needlessly. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. Why? Because your neighbor is yourself. You and your neighbor are the same being. Remember, we talked about what is perfect creation? The one I am self that we all share. What is perfect creation? The one divine being. There's only one being. There's not a multiplicity of beings. There's only one, and we are that. God is that. Love is that, and so are we. There's only love in perfect creation. You are love. That's why he said, love yourself. Love yourself. All the hatred that has been put on display, everything that we see that we know is antithetical to love. It's only that way because the people that are communicating that and trying to legislate that, they don't love themselves. They don't. They don't love themselves. They're trying to find themselves. They're crying out for love. They're crying out for love. There is no peace. The showmanship of being strong and being right, that's only temporary. It's only reinforcing the ego idea of separation. But even when they get quiet, even when the crowds are gone, even when there's no more fanfare, there's no more winning and losing, and it's for every one of us. When we get to ourselves and there's no more voices, and we're trying to be at peace, we're trying to be at rest, there's a still small voice that speaks to us. Our own voice speaks to us and reminds us of the one being that we share, of the one divine self that we share, of the I am self that we are part of, and that we should let go of anything or any idea that is antithetical to that. In other words, we need to choose again. Realize that we have chose wrongly. When we see humanity as something to be eliminated or to be destroyed or to be used or to be manipulated, the voice of Christ speaks to us to choose again. All of us. And the more we resist, the more we resist the truth that is ever present. Like Jesus said, what if a man gains the whole world and loses his own soul? He loses his own peace. The peace that belongs to him belongs to everyone. And only becomes at a point where we resist and continue to resist. The Spirit of truth will never stop speaking to us about awakening and embracing this higher reality of love, which we all share, and to let go of our oppressive ideas, our hateful anger thoughts and ideas, the way we're treating one another, the way we're communicating, the falsehood that's in our hearts. And so if you in this moment, when I say in this moment, in this 2025 moment, if you are feeling discouraged, if you are feeling like, where is God? If you're feeling like, where is love? If you're feeling like fear is winning, hatred is winning, love is not winning, well, it's not a matter of winning and losing. Only the purposes of love will prevail eternally. Mankind have tried from day one to go his own way, to do his own thing, to make up his own ideas. And it only led to more bloodshed, more destruction, more disappointment, more lack of peace. And it will continue to run its course until humanity wakes up. Wake up to the unified self that we all share. So in this moment, don't be discouraged. Stay in love. Stay in forgiveness. Continue to be the light of the world. There's only one thing to choose, and that is love. Not one nation over another, not one race over another, not one political party over another, not one team over another. Those are not real choices. Those are detours into darkness. The only choice is love. And God is saying, love is saying, choose once again. Whether you're going to take your place, whether your voice is going to communicate, whether your life is going to communicate love. He said, take your place among the lovers. Take your place among the saviors of the world. Don't remain in hell. And don't hold your brother in hell. But choose love. He said, is Christ asking you this question? Choose to, what would you choose? Yes, Christ is here. Christ is asking. When I say Christ, I'm saying truth is here. Love is here. Unity is here. Abundance is here. Joy is here. Peace is here. And it's asking all of us the same question. Will you take your place? Will you let your light shine? Will you let your life be a communication device to communicate love, to communicate the truth that is true always? Choose once again. And your whole life has been about choosing. And your human experience has been the result of your choosing. And so if you don't like the experience, that means there has to be a re-choosing. There has to be a change in our perception, a shift in our decision. There has to be an embracing of what we all have been honored with, the honor that comes from love only, the honor that comes from God only, which is love. That was Jesus' message from day one. He showed us the way. He showed us what was at stake. He showed us the answer. And there is no love without first there's forgiveness. There's a letting go. First of all, forgiving yourself for not knowing, forgiving yourself for walking in darkness, forgiving yourself for the ignorance and not understanding. So we just let it go. There's no judgment. There's nothing to fear in the future. You've already been forgiven. So before there can be this embracing of the reality, there has to be a letting go. We cannot serve two masters. We'll hate one and love the others. We cannot serve love and fear. So we have to let go. That's what forgiveness is. It's letting go of the fear, letting go of the false identity, letting go of the false self, letting go of the false idea of separation, letting go of our total commitment to evil doing, to inequality, to separation, to oppression, to genocide, to identifying people from where they came from. We all came from the same place. We're all here. We all immigrated here in this thing called life temporarily. We're all immigrants. And we all came here legally because you cannot be here in a human body. You cannot be here manifested without a human body. And so if you have a human body, that is your legal entrance into this thing called earth. So all of us are legal immigrants. But we're all temporary. We're all leaving this place. We came here to remember who we are. We came here to remember who we are. And to let our light shine, to let our love shine, to love one another. That is the purpose for our life. It was not to gather things at the expense of others. It was not to create these structures of classes and differences. It was not to divide us. But our purpose here is to unify us. So we let it go. Until you let it go, you can't experience yourself as love until you let it go. The peace that passes all understanding would only be an idea, but it can be a lived experience. You can experience the peace. You can experience the love. And it comes when we embrace the I am. That I am unified divine self that we all are, with no exceptions. No exception. So if you're here in 2025, that's our purpose. That's our responsibility. I made a post a few weeks ago. Some of you may have heard it if you follow me on my social media platforms. And I think this quote kind of sums it up. I said, until you know and accept, it's one thing to know, but there's another thing to accept. Until you know and accept the fact. And when we use the word fact, that means that it is changeless. Until we accept the changeless, until we accept the eternal, until we accept that which is permanent. He said, I said, until you know and accept the fact that there is no separation between you and the divine. Until we embrace that we are the divine. You are that now. Until you know and accept that there is the fact that there is no difference between who you are right now and what divinity is. You are divine. You are eternal. You are love's perfect creation. Until you embrace that, it says there will always be discomfort. There will always be this dis-ease with yourself. An apple can only be an apple. A squirrel can only be a squirrel. A light can only be a light. A divine being can only be a divine being. And this is who you are. And when you don't accept that about yourself and about others. So you can't accept it about others until you accept it about yourself. That's what Jesus meant. You say, love yourself. Love the fact that you are a divine being. Love the fact that you are this unified I am self. That you are the perfect creation of love. He said, when you embrace that, he said, then you embrace everything around you as that. So that means you cannot love others until you first love yourself. You can't accept others until you first accept yourself. So to oppress others, to withhold from others, to devalue others, to take from others is an indication that you have not accepted yourself. You have not accepted your true identity. You are afraid of yourself. And so there is no peace. In your human experience. But in reality, you haven't changed anything because you can't change love. You can't even change what God created. You can just fall asleep and have a dream of being something else. So until you accept, and me and all of us, this is an individual thing. The nation can't accept it for you. Your mama can't do it for you. Your team can't. This is individually. You have to wake up yourself. He said, because until that happens, you're going to always be in discomfort, uncertainty, and you always have this sense of dis-ease about your own self. In other words, you won't be happy in your own skin. And so when we're not happy in our own skin, the way we think you fix that is we project our belief in separation on others. And that's what you see happening. The projection of the thing that we see about ourselves, we project it on others. And the thing that we're seeing about ourselves is not even true. So what am I talking about here? The recognition of love is the recognition of yourself. When we recognize love as ourself, that's when we love ourselves. That's when we will love others. That's when we will realize that I love my neighbor as myself, because my neighbor is myself. We are the same one. We are the unified self. So how are you experiencing yourself here in 2025? How are you experiencing yourself in this moment with all the chaos? What do you think about you? What do you think about the world around you? What do you think about all the division and the strife? What do you think about all of the hatred? What do you think about all the division? What do you think about what the wars and the rumors of wars and the destruction and what what we see happening in people's lives, what we see what governments are doing, what religious communities are doing? Because religious community are at the really head of all of this division. None of it could happen if the religious community wasn't asleep. If the religious community was awake, none of this would not be happening. It would not be happening. It's only happening because the religious community is asleep. That thing they call church is asleep. They're teaching more separation in religious communities than anywhere else. That's why our government is that way, because the church is teaching separation. Sinners and saints, that's separation. Jesus said he's reconciled the whole world to himself. There's only the one. So you're calling what I created sinner and saint? You calling what God created sinner? Hell and heaven. See division, teaching division. Going to hell, going to heaven. I could say so much here. Choose once again. So, whatever, I said this a couple of weeks ago also, and I'm going to finish with this one. Whatever follows your I am. Whatever follows your I am. Because remember, you're a divine creative being. So when you use the term I am, because you're creative, whatever you say behind the I am, that's how you're experiencing. That is how you are experiencing God. That's how you are experiencing your divine self. So whatever follows your I am, when you're talking, when you're communicating, even when you're not verbally communicating, when you are expressing yourself to others, when you are thinking of others, when you holding a perception, that's your I am too. When you take action, your action is your I am. In other words, it says whatever follows your I am represents your divine self. What are you saying about your divine self? How are you acting out of your divine self? How are you thinking out of your divine self? How are you perceiving out of your divine self? How are you extending your divinity? Or are you projecting your separation? So whatever follows your I am is how God, is how reality, is how love is experiencing itself in that moment as you. I said earlier, all of us are teaching something. We're all teaching something. Your life is teaching who you are in terms of who you see yourself to be. Your life is a communication device, and it is either teaching love or it is teaching fear. That's the bottom line in every moment. That's why we spend so much time here talking about becoming a master of your love. And what does a master do? Jesus became a master of love. What does a master do? He chose love, what? In every moment, in every situation, in every circumstance, in every condition. He didn't let the external conditions change his mind. He didn't let the external circumstances or condition to influence him to see differently than love. That's why every person that he encountered, he saw only love. The Course in Miracles says, Jesus saw the face of Christ in everyone, and he remembered love. When we wake up to the truth of our unified, divine, I am self, we will begin to see the face of God in everyone. We will begin to see the face of love in everyone. And so in that moment, we will choose for love. We will choose to extend only love, to build up, to support, to add to, not to tear down and destroy. Now, not to separate. We would choose not to create a specialness. We will embrace all humanity. We will embrace all humanity because love has no exception. If you are operating from a point where you are embracing some and making exceptions to others because of the color of their skin or their nationality or their position in life, you're not communicating love. You're communicating fear. And fear has torment, as the Bible says. You're tormenting yourself. You can have no peace. And so when we see this on full display, faint not, be not dismayed, don't be discouraged. There is no peace in that. There's no prosperity. There's no real prosperity in that because there is no soul prosperity. There's dis-ease. There's discomfort. So don't acquiesce your love. Don't acquiesce. Don't be like. Don't join into that. But choose to be a savior of the world. Like the Course says here, and I'm going to finish this. I know I keep saying I'm going to finish. And I am going to finish. But I want to finish right here. This is out of A Course in Miracles. The last chapter, the final vision. Choose once again is the title. Choose once again. Just think about it. The last title in this great spiritual writing reminds us to choose again and again and again and again. Your day is filled with choices. You're making decisions all the time. And here it's instructing us and reminding us at the very end of this great resource called A Course in Miracles, or even the Bible, to choose again. Choose once again. It says choose once again. If you would take your place among the saviors of the world or among the lovers, you got to choose. In every moment, we're choosing either to be lovers or haters. It's just that simple. Our life is either expressing love or it's expressing fear, which is hate, in every moment. And our goal is to become masters of love by choosing love in every moment. So he says, choose once again. If you would take your place, it is your place. Love is your place. Love is your inheritance. Love is your life. He said, choose once again whether you would take your place. It is your place. God created this place for you. He created it for all of us. This place of oneness, this place of unity. This is a place of abundance. He said, take your divine place. Sit here in the place that I have created for you. He said, choose once again if you would take your place among the saviors of this world. Your life is either in a state of salvation, that you are in a state of promoting love, promoting peace. That's what a Savior does. Forgiving, seeing the face of Christ in everyone, seeing love everywhere. He says, take your place among those that are saviors of the world, or would remain in hell. So if you want to know where hell is, it's not a place you go to after you die. That's concept, that idea. Take it out of your mind. We made that up. But here he's saying real hell is when we don't take our place in the world as saviors, as demonstrators of love. He said not to take your place is to be in hell, or in a hellish state, in a state of fear, of dis-ease and discomfort. The word you choose now to not to extend love to one another, but to project your fear through control and oppression on one another. He said that's hellish. So don't be discouraged or be dismayed when you see that on full demonstration. When hatred is on demonstration, they are experiencing their own hell. They think they are creating hell for others, but they are creating the experience of hell for themselves. There is no peace. When we don't love our brother, when we don't love our neighbor as ourselves, we are creating hell for ourselves in that moment. But here he's saying, choose again to be the savior, to be the forgiver, to be the lover. He says, or would you remain in hell and hold your brother there? When we don't embrace all humanity as equal. When we don't, I'm not talking about just writing it on a piece of paper, saying this is our Constitution, this is our Declaration. That doesn't mean anything. And then we act opposite. We've seen that. That all men are created equal. And then we enslave people. What kind of mess is that? What we write don't mean anything. Jesus said it was written on the heart. It is what's written on the heart, because what's in the abundance of the heart is what we're going to display. So what is in our heart? And so now we see all of this stuff out in the world that is ugly and depressing. And it's that way because what? It needs to come out so it can be healed. Take your place among the saviors of the world. Take your place among love, because that's who you are. And that is all that there is. And you'll be glad you did. Well, I am going to stick a pin in it right there, because I want to be able to play this over and over again. And if I go another minute, I'm not going to be able to do it. I love you. First of all, I love me. First of all, I love love. I love God. I love me some me, because I love God. And I realize that I and God are one. And because of that, I love you, because you are who I am and I am who you are. Until next time, take your place. Choose once again to take your place among the saviors. You'll be glad you did. Bye-bye.